We gonna be live.
All right. All right. We live with Brother Rich. All right, we're gonna be getting into some deep information tonight, discussions on, I guess you would say, if the so-called Black people or the indigenous people of the Americas, and how that ties into the immigration situation and problems that is taking place right now. And who...
All the Trump talk, Ali.
Right.
Before we get into that, let me play these ads from the brothers who have some awesome businesses, and they are representing on my channel. And I want to let the room fill up. You know, they don't know when I'm going live. I gotta start telling the people when I go live. But I appreciate everybody. Thanks for coming in the room. TD Hip Hop Media. Having time always on top. Let's get free. Everybody filling in the room. 12 something midnight. With the brother Alim El-Bey. I'm gonna play these ads and we're gonna get right to it, ladies and gentlemen. Hold on. Yeah. Having time always on.
All right. Brother Rich is playing his ads, and while he's playing his ad, I'm going to be stating what we got going on. As most of y'all already know, we have our event coming up next month. We have basically the Healing Wings Institute, the healing experience of a lifetime. All right. Once again, the healing experience of a lifetime. You will learn how to heal yourself is meditation, yoga, fitness, nutrition, poetry, or, all right. This will be the Universal Wellness Expo and workshop. So you will also learn Reiki, Qigong, Tai Chi, pranic healing.
I mean, you sit here, my brother?
Yes.
Okay. All right, so we back in the room. Want to tell everybody, make sure you donate before we get started. Make sure you donate to CashApp. You can go to cash.me/BlackMagic363, or if you got the CashApp with home, just type in BlackMagic363, $363. Best way to donate. I just put the link in the chat room. With that being said, Ali, man.
Peace.
How's everything been going?
Everything is good. And for those that want to donate also to us, Cash App Moorish Holy Temple #2. Or not, don't put the number, put the number sign. So please do. And also what we got going on coming up March the 22nd, 23rd, and 24th. We got and this is what is known as the Universal Wellness Expo and workshop. All right, so we definitely will get into that. And let me share the screen here on our end. And for those who have come into the room, we definitely want to get into that information. Very important. March 22nd, 23rd, and 24th. So that's just a month away, y'all. So we definitely want y'all to check that out. So not only will we be dealing with Reiki, pranic healing, Qigong, Tai Chi, but we also will be dealing with herbalism, as well as also law, history, astrology, numerology, agriculture, metaphysics, and more. So for 3, we're going in, all right? Juice and More, which is our bookstore, as well as also our juice bar with our raw vegan food, uncooked juices and smoothies, organic, plant-based. You definitely want to come and check us out. All right. So that is March 22nd, 24th. You definitely want to come. All right.
All right, saying the audio is messing up. I don't know. I pitched on. Yeah. Everybody's saying the audio is messed up. I don't know why they can't hear the audio.
Right, because you. No, I was saying that you are clear.
Yeah, is it just Alim? Am I
Yeah.
Yeah, let me know. Is my audio, Alim's audio, what audio is not going good? Both of me family, so we could fix this situation. So that can actually that being said, see what my family said on the chat room.
So you want to do another mic check?
Yeah, okay. Be crazy. Is your audio rich? Your audio messed up. So they say that. They say my audio is messed up. Yeah, I think it's messed up. Well, I don't know. Yeah, everybody's saying audio. Everybody's saying my audio. I don't know how my audio is. Microphone, mixer, types of stuff. Yeah, they say it's real that shut down. Wow. Alright, let me they say it's scrambled. It might be my Wi-Fi. I mean, you hear me?
Yeah, but also on your end, we hear it sound like you got on the mixer, but it sounds like it's mixing actually. That's what it sounds like.
It sound like what?
It sounds like somebody's mixing. Right, like the Chipmunks.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, like that. Why the hell does it sound like that? Wow, okay. Let me. They got conspiracy. They got.
All right, y'all. So once again, y'all definitely want to come out to this event, March 22nd, 23rd, and 24th. Wings Institute Universal Wellness Expo and Workshop. This is in conjunction with United Washington Dr. Munya, law, history, archaeology, numerology, metaphysics, and more. Check us out, y'all.
Let me pull you right back. Take care.
All right. All right. So, all right. Coming up, you know we got the trip of all trips. Pyramid Cruise. You got to come all aboard. All right. Come. Don't trip. Then again, do come and trip. Haha, you get it? So you want to be tripping on this vacation, 7 days, September the 29th through the 6th, not the 5th. You get an extra day, October the 6th, but we will be going to the Bahamas, Rotan, the island of Rotan, as well as also Honduras. No, we're not going to seas. OSHA campsite, but we will be going to some pyramids. 2 pyramids, one in Punta Costa, Mayan ruins, and the other is Chichen Itza, Cozumel, Mexico. 2 pyramid sites, y'all. You got to come and check it out. We are cruising to right here in the Americas. So not only are we going to various mounds this year, we're going to the pyramids this year. Mound builders, the pyramid builders. And we was all over the world. But in particularly, we was right here. All right. So we weren't just in Africa or in Australia, parts of Asia. That's Asia Minor and Major, Asia Major and Asia Minor, which you now refer to as Asia and Europe. Europe is not a continent. All right. And we was here in the Americas. So for those that want and need more information, we will be departing from Orlando, Cape Canaveral, Florida. I call our travel agent, Ebony Sims, known as Sashetta, and at 504-515-6515. That's 504-515-6515. All right, that's a lot of fives up in it. Five on it. And you know we're buying seeds. All right, so that's 504-515-6515. Or you can at starlinetravels11@gmail.com. And we're going to have an amazing and awesome time together, y'all. This is going to be on the Royal Caribbean. This is going to be their largest cruise line. All right. So you have to have your U.S. passport, or better yet, as we say, your USA passport, or passport, which is a non-citizen U.S. national. All right, which is another form of the passport. Either or, you got to have it so that you're on aboard. All aboard, you know what I mean? So you definitely want to check that out. This is the Pyramid Cruise, September the 29th, October the 6th. All right. Now, we have the First World Order. Right? This is my book, the first published book. The second published book you want to get, which is The Hymns of Akhenaten, Ankh-Unten, The Occult Powers of the Sun, Burning, and the Healing Aromas of Incense. In this book, it teaches you how to set up your altars, the art of candle magic, the science behind burning, as well as also the meaning of Psalms and how the Psalms are nothing more than summaries, tidbits, as we would say, of the hymns of Akhenaten and the hymns of his father, Amenhotep III. All right, Akhenaten, Ankh-Unten was also called Amenhotep IV. This is symbolic to the David and Solomon story in that regard. All right, Solomon would be Ankh-Unten or Akhenaten. Okay, the fourth, Amenhotep III would be symbolic to David. All right, and you will find out if you do your research that they are the ones who wrote the hymn, which we now refer to as the Psalms, Proverbs. All right, so this is the science that's going on. We speak about it in the book, wrote and co-wrote this book together. You definitely want to check that book out. All right, so go to our website, www.dralimel-bey.com. That's DRALIMELBEY.com. And the link is all right. So when Brother Rich come back on, you know, we're going to get this thing popping. We're glad that you joined us. Tell your family, friends, folks, you know what I'm saying? If they want to learn something, come on in, check it out. And as usual, we always have the books and the knowledge and the science in order to back up what we're saying. Historians. So yes, we like to play. We like to joke. All right. And I love to decode. I am a metaphysician, an occultist, healer, herbalist, all right, an astrologer. We also deal with numerology, iridology, all right. I have the I have the certifications and degrees in all of these, and still growing, because what's the purpose of living life on planet Earth if you're not going to learn? All right. So that is just the science. You have to have the knowledge, have to be a renaissance more. This is the and the new renaissance. All right. The more of the renaissance, of the new renaissance, the new paradigm that is taking place. All right. And of course, some of y'all may have more. That's fine. Let's say African, let's say American, but not African American. Okay. The reason why, because when we talking about Pangea, when all the land masses were together, we may have landed in Africa, but we were not from Africa. We originally came from the star constellation, which the Dogon speak on. And there's been books written about it. Read Robert Temple's book on the Serious Mysteries. Read Murray and Hope's book on Serious Connection. L. Fox, the French dudes. These books speaks. Oh, and also read on the Dogon Mysteries by Straden. All right. Lord Straden. He has some good information. This will help you understand that we had a cosmic arrival here. All right. And according to Credo Moutois, this was the 7th planet. The 6th planet was the red planet known as Mars. And before we left there, and it's once again, we came here. But prior to that, we was on 5 other planets prior to that. All right. Saturn was one of them. Jupiter, Venus. All right. So we've been on other planets. On the last, it already told us that that our planets in this so-called solar system, we was on 7 of them. All right. And understand that our ancestors, according to Black root science, it states specifically, all right, specifically what's taking place. It states we were not just so-called extraterrestrials, extraterrestrial energy. In other words, we was able to utilize the chi or prana energy of the cosmos, form our macabres and light vehicles, and come in what we call interdimensional travel. It's not space travel, it's interdimensional travel. We're able to go through stargates, portals, wormholes, all right, black holes. We're able to go through these particular portals, all right, stargates. And so Credo Moutois speaks about this in the Zulu Oracle book. Get the book Zulu Oracle. In the book, he speaks on how we was able to transform our bodies into macabres. And even to Africa, they still refer to the female, the feminine principle, as macabre. Even though the word macabre is a Hebrew word, allegedly, actually is ancient Egyptian. Actually is ancient Egyptian, all right? We want y'all to definitely get this information for the upcoming event, so, okay. Um, all right. All right, all right. Hopefully you got the you got the is right there on the chat. So you have the kit. You can utilize the information right in your home. It can be private right in your home and blood type. Okay. That's also very important because remember, we're dealing with a series. I'm not going to go into it tonight because Brother Rich called, but the series we'll be dealing with that last night started the beginning of it. We'll be dealing with blood types. All right.
Brother Kamal Imani said, Brother Ali Hotel, you are needed and you right on time. Give thanks.
Oh, appreciate that. Appreciate that. All right. Right. So while we wait for Brother Rich to give us a call back, if y'all have any questions, just, chat, and, we do what we can until Brother Rich calls back. And if he don't call us back, we still going to go into the information that I had, that I was ready to present. All right. Because I know he was having technical difficulties on his end. It sounded like the chipmunks, when my wife went to the site there in order to listen to the. All right. So let me say this is that we have quite a bit of events coming up. We don't want people to forget next month. Our most important, because the reason why I say it's the most important is because this is when you learn how to become a healer. This is when you become attuned into Reiki. All right. Reiki 1. You get certified. One, attuned, certified into Reiki 1. You also would get certified into Qigong 1, level 1, Tai Chi level 1. All right. Pranic healing basics. All right. So we will be giving out certifications. The Healing Wings Institute will be giving those certifications out for those that put forth their donation, go to the website, and come on down in order to come on up or come on across in order to, to check out these healing classes. Now, also, you also learn the science of law for it's 3 days. So the first day is going to be dealing with the agenda, where we will be going over also greet and meet. We will also have, drumming as well as also dance.
And games that we play.
Right, right. And also psychic enhancement games and those types of things, remote viewing and so forth and so on. First night. Second, which is Friday. Saturday, we'll be going into the healing aspects. All right. Everything we'll be dealing with the science of healing. And then that night we'll have like a little gathering ball, once again with the dance. All right. We always got to enjoy ourselves. And then, so we'll have Brother Sifu Elohi in the building, and he'll teach you Shaolin Kung Fu, the basics of Shaolin Kung Fu and Wing Chun, as well as also Qigong, Tai Chi. Myself, my wife, we was also students, Sunyata Saraswati, who was the author of Jewel in the Lotus, Tantric, Kriya Consciousness, that he brought the left-hand path and the right-hand path, and he merged those paths together to make the middle path, which symbolizes the middle pillar. He took the left and the right. The left-hand path is Tantra, meaning that you can gain spiritual enlightenment through sex. Kriya Yoga is gaining spiritual enlightenment through celibacy. All right. Brought those two paths together up their greatest secrets and form Tantra Kriya Yoga. All right. So you definitely want to check out his book, Jewel in the Lotus. And you definitely want to come to this event and check us out. All right. Because we will be getting to that information also. And certain methods, so forth and so on. All right. As well as also pranic healing, basics and advanced, Tibetan white Qigong, Tibetan white crane Qigong, Tibetan white crane Tai Chi. All right.
Also, too, you'll be able to get on the Zapper and get pre-diagnosed, find out what's going on before it gets to you.
All right. You also be able to get within your ailment that could possibly be impending upon your auric field or your physical body. All right. And also what you can get and use to seal leaks and holes in your auric field, and Reiki does that, as well as also the herbs that you can utilize in order to keep healthy, keep these parasites, worms, bacteria, and viruses from out of your body, because not only are they internal microbials, germs, they're also external parasites. And these external parasites can attach themselves to your auric field. All right. Oh yeah, that's a joint right there.
Y'all seen this a couple of days ago. Well,
yeah, that is the what is it? The
Smoky
quartz. Big old smoky quartz right there. All right.
Yeah.
You definitely want the big old smoky quartz. All right. We'll do that joint right there. You know. Yeah. Yeah, there you go. That's how it looks right there. All right. If you can't think about it, there it is right there. All right. Well, let's think about it. There you go. See? That's how that will look on you right there. And the big old right there on that heart. You know, that negative emotional energy from your heart and solar plexus, which is needed. Because do you know that diabetes is an emotional disease? Because oftentimes you don't feel like you are able to experience to the fullest. Metaphysically, if you get the book Heal Your Body by Louise Hayes, she tells you this, that the metaphysical cause of all diseases, diseases, ailments, all right? There's a metaphysical, emotional, mental response that takes place first before any damn body, and it works from out in. So it works first from your auric field, which is your outer auric field, into your health auric field, and then eventually into your inner auric field, then into your physical body. All right. These parasites can attach themselves to your auric field and create leaks and holes, as well as also at the same time, not only are they creating leaks and holes, they are also communicating frequently, I should say, through frequencies with the internal parasites. Now, ain't that some shit? That's what's going on. So this is why machine, all right? And this is Dr. Hula Clark. She wrote the book, The Cure for HIV, AIDS, The Cure for Cancer, and The Cure for all diseases. Because scientists know that each has a frequency. Right? You can get Dr. Leonard Horowitz. All right? Dr. Leonard Horowitz information. He speaks about the 528. All right? The love frequency, which actually correlates to the root chakra. Base. The lower you can go. Death row. Well, the brother back is the incredible rhyme animal. All right, so that is the lowest chakra, and the 528 will help heal that. That symbolizes C note. All right, we talking about money is a damn C note. You know what I'm saying? But the real C note is the 528 frequency. All right, in which that can heal your body. All right, you definitely want to check out Dr. Lynn Horowitz, Dr. Hula Clark, their information dealing with the zappers. All right, that's some good information because once again, each ailment, disease has a healing frequency can utilize. All right, all right. We like to thank Dark Truth. Appreciate that. All right. Also, Amara G. Appreciate that. Amara G. Oni Twa. All right. Yo, appreciate that. Have 5 on it. And we'll beat. All right. So, all right. We definitely got to, that's our little thing. So, matter of fact, as you see, the new movie, Us, they took the theme from us. All right. I took it from Loonies, you know what I'm saying? But from the Loonies, but hell, they took it from from us. Cause shit, we've been doing this now for over a year. Talking about we got 5 on it. All right. So now it's in the movie, you know what I'm saying? And some of the opening scenes about Loonies is being played in the movie. All right, so I'm glad that we was able to help bring that to into effect, bring that song back out to the forefront. But however we mix on it, you know what I'm saying? So we ain't buying weed, we buying seeds. All right, so that's what we got 5 on. All right, and see plenty of seeds, and it will be in our store. They will be heirloom seeds, and they will be for purchase. All right, they will be for purchase, just like this necklace is right here. Court joint. And you can use it for a pendulum. All right, but I'd rather wear it. Okay, so you definitely want to check that out. All right, and
you got a question?
We got a question, y'all.
This brother said I've been having heart problems.
Mm-hmm.
So when you describe diabetes being emotional and stuff, it sounds like me. Where can I get help with this big
Real simple. Right. Also, for heart problems, you need cayenne pepper, garlic, and hawthorn berry. All right. That's once again cayenne pepper, garlic, and hawthorn berry. Within a matter of just a week or 2, your heart will be back normal, as well as also there will be no pains. All right. Right. Unless you're drinking and smoking, and you're doing detriment to your body. You want to be able to definitely alleviate as much meat as possible. All right. I'm a raw vegan. All right. So 80% of the food is raw and uncooked. All right. The other 20% is cooked, like the quinoa or something like that. All right. But that's the path I'm on right now.
But Michael, you need to come to the conference. If you're dealing with health issues, you need to come to this health expo.
Right. You definitely want to come to this health expo. We give out so much information. You have people writing down for hours.
Do this for yourself.
All right. Yeah. Do this for yourself and get healthy. You know what I'm saying?
You're gonna see how delicious eating naturally is.
Right. Because we also will be showing you in the workshops how to do certain plates. All right. You ain't gonna give up all the recipes. All right. But you can definitely learn certain plates, certain dishes, as we would say.
So it'll make you love eating natural.
So that you can love eating natural, raw. You know what I'm saying? Unadulterated. You know what I'm saying? I get raw. You know what I'm saying? Some of that, some of that old dirty B shit. You know what I'm saying? Got to get raw. You know You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? You know, R.I.P. You know what I'm saying? Rise and power, old dirty B. All right, baby Osiris. Baby Jesus. All right. You know what I'm saying? Oh, the white Lord. All right. All right. So,
for anxiety.
all right, for anxieties, you want that St. John Wart's tea. You want lobelia, and another good one is chamomile. All right, chamomile is excellent for alleviating depression and anxiety. All right, especially for people who's dealing with anxiety, dealing with heart palpitations, arrhythmia, as well as also dealing with panic attacks. Those type of things can be alleviated with these teas.
And also, you want to be doing your affirmation.
Right. You want to make sure that you got good thoughts, positive thoughts in your mind. You know what I'm saying? 1/3 of healing, as we all know, comes of the placental effect. All right. The placental effect means basically you just have to believe. So yes, strayed away from Christianity. However, there are still some good points in which that we have to take even into your new journey of the occult, of metaphysics, of esoteric teachings, a good effect in which that you had to take from Christianity in that regard. And truthfully, I'm still a Christian. All right? Because I deal with Gnosticism.
Oh.
And I deal with the fact of raising my Kundalini to the Christ seat, which is my crown chakra, to receive Christ consciousness and to awaken our soul, which is Heru incarnated, which is Jesus, you know what I'm saying? Baby Jesus, big baby Jesus, you know what I'm saying? Into effect so I can produce this golden halo around my head. All right? Just like the Jesus pictures that you seen back in the 1600s. All right, and that shit is real. You know, you want to be able to, become the most enlightened being you possibly can. Develop that golden dragon body to eventually the rainbow body. And even if you do pass away, because you don't have to pass, you can actually ascend and ascend into another dimension while you're still living. Right here, right now, while you still breathing, and blink out, just like they told you in the Bible in Matthew 24, talking about the woman sat at the wheel, and another one, she seen her friend, she was gone. This is called the rapture. Even though the Bible doesn't mention the so-called rapture, it does mention that you have a incorruptible body, and you have a corruptible body. The corruptible body is your physical body, but the incorruptible body is your spiritual body.
Baby, you getting deep now. See, this ain't for everybody. You dropping them jewels now.
Well,
but until
we ain't dropped nothing yet.
Okay, you ain't dropped nothing yet. We got a brother that said, how do you deal with mold? You know what I mean? What you need issues of mold? Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Well, you need a dehumidifier. You need also a purifier. So a dehumidifier and a purifier in your home, and they need to be running. All right, damn near 24/7 to keep the mold from basically being in the home. But the thing that you need is essential oils. You need peppermint. You take the peppermint, put right up here, on your upper lip. You will have to dilute it. Make sure you dilute it so that it won't, burn. So you can dilute it with grapeseed oil. You can dilute it with olive oil, coconut oil, but you want peppermint. Peppermint helps to kill bacteria and mold, all right, and mildew smells. Matter of fact, you can take packets. You can actually take herbs and pour peppermint onto the herbs and put them in certain areas in your home. And the fragrance of the the peppermint will also keep pets out of your home, all right? Such as mice and ants and so forth and so on. And they won't be in your home. They don't like peppermint, but you do, all right? And peppermint is one of the major things that you can use, put right under your nose, all right? You can use rosemary. Rosemary activates 70% of your memory, all right? So it enhances your memory function 70%, all right? It can be put right up on your nose, all right? It also kills bacteria, mold, so forth and so on, all right? Lavender, right? Frankincense and myrrh, in particular frankincense, all right? Remember, these are the herbs that was brought to Jesus, all right? Even though Jesus didn't, quote unquote, physically exist except as you, these are still herbs in which that the ancients used, and it was detailed in the Bible so that you can understand that these particular herbs are purifiers. They purify. Frankincense and myrrh purifies the body. All right. So you definitely want to use frankincense. All right. Major. So these are the ones. All right. We got 10 essential oils for $30 in the link. Check the link in the chat and you'll see that you definitely want to. And also you can put it over your lungs. All right. So in Qigong, we hit the upper, we tap the upper respiratory area. Okay. That's what we do. We tap. Right. We also do this. Just like we did when we was kids. Just turn and twist. Turn and twist. And what we doing, we hitting the upper respiratory and we also hitting the kidneys. This is Qigong. And that also heals the lungs. All right. So anybody dealing with asthma, bronchitis, emphysema, you deal with emphysema, first thing, of course, you need to stop smoking. All right. And that's whether if it's GMO cigarettes or GMO weed. All right. That's just what it is nowadays, because that's what we're dealing with. All right. This devil is making sure that most of the shit that is on the market that is so readily available nowadays is GMO. That's just what it is. All right. That's just what it is.
Somebody said, when I drink coffee, my kidneys ache, God.
Yeah. Well, for the kidneys, like we said, you can tap them. Rub them. And also what we do is rub them. Sway. All right. So that's what we do for the kidneys. The kidneys are one of the easiest organs in the body to heal. All right. You can talk to your kidneys. Well, you can talk to all of your organs. Matter of fact, we recommend that you talk to yourself. Talk to your organs. Say that you love them. Tell them that you appreciate them functioning. All right. Rub and touch on yourself. All right. That's necessary. That's to show that, that you are putting more energy and you're increasing the blood flow into those areas in your body. All right. Yeah.
The American people is a good topic for those who still don't know.
Oh, somebody said that?
Brother Fahim.
Oh, yeah, Brother Fahim. We called it the American people, but it was called the Indigenous people of the Americas. However, they don't like that title. All right. YouTube do not like that title, so we had to say, okay, well, we'll shorten it because we still are the American people, and so we will be getting into that information in a few. Once again, I'm gonna give Rich another 15 minutes. He don't call it 15 minutes. We're going, for those that can hang on, we going in for about a half an hour or more to get into this information. All right. Anything? Nothing yet? Okay. So, let's get to it then. If Rich calls, what's going to happen is that we're going to come on back on. Okay. Can you see the screen? Can you see the screen?
Yeah.
Okay, you can?
I can.
All right. So let's get into the information. These are the books that we always talk about. And when we're dealing with, there's no books in which that we've read in which that takes this information this far back. And notice that the majority of the so-called lecturers and scholars and academia, professors or whatever do not mention these books. And this makes you wonder why they don't mention these books, because Richard L. Thompson is a PhD. All right. An archaeologist. So you will have to wonder why they don't mention these books, Forbidden Archaeology and The Hidden History of the Human Race. I mean, this is one of the landmark intellectual achievements of the late 20th century. Graham Hancock, author of The Fingerprints of the Gods, he stated that. So I find it rather amazing that those in the field of academia that works at universities, colleges, who has PhDs, do not mention a fellow PhD degreed individual such as Richard L. Thompson and Michael A. Creedmoor. Michael Creedmoor has been going in with the information, y'all. All right. You can check out his videos. He's rather monotone, but he has some good information. All right. Good information. All right. And so during this time of the information that they revealed in the books, they start with Pangea. All right. Pangea. All right. This is how we see Pangea. When all the continents were together. And that means if we landed in what is called Africa, notice all of it was Africa at one time. If you're going to start at the center, all of it was Africa. Okay? That's Australia, Antarctica, India, Saudi Arabia, all right? North and South America, Canada, hell, even Greenland, on up into what we call Russia. And the only people that was on the planet Earth during the time of Pangea, even though scientists would try to, we have this. See, this is pseudoscience. See, those in which that teach otherwise are those that are pseudo. Individuals who teach like myself are not pseudo. Why? Because we take all the information that we've gathered from all the various sources and tie them together. Those in academia have to go by a script. All right? The script is called a think about it, when you go to college, all right, and you go in, you have a syllabus. That's a script. All right? I'm not going by a script. Nobody is controlling my thinking. How I get this information, how I convey this information to you is me, my ancestors, my higher self, which is my God and my personal savior. The God in me. Mary, you don't know nothing about that. That ain't too old school, but you know, shoot, some of y'all might not have been listening to the radio. He's the God in me. All right, so that's what we're dealing with. All right, so this is what is called the Mercator map. And notice how Greenland is larger than just as large as Africa, which is BS. You can see here the real size of Greenland, which is not even as large as Canada. Not as large as Australia. Definitely not as large as the so-called United States. All right, hell, it's not even as large as Mexico. But here on the Mercator map, it's larger, or just as large as Africa. It's larger than South America. It's larger than Australia. So see, this is a map in which that they have lied to us on. But this is the map in which that they have in schools throughout America. Or as we would say, the United States Corporation. See, the United States is of America, but America is not of the United States. One have a superior position. We as the Americans are part of that superior position. This is why they have to do all the trickery, the mind control, the lies, is to keep us under the disguise and the guise that there is only 40 million of us. When I read in Behold a Pale Horse by William Cooper of a CIA report that stated actually there's over 80 million of us, and this was back in 1991. 1991, y'all. 1991. There was already over 80 million of us. So if we jumped from 30 million to 40 million and took 20 years to do that, then that means that we should be up above 90 million right now. Because I know that during the census report, my grandmother used to hide myself, my aunts, and uncles in the house and said it was only her there. But yet we had about 5 people in the damn house. So-called black folks in the country did not allow for those who took the census to count all of us. And they still don't to this very day. Okay, that's just what it is. So they tell you that it's still only 40 million of us. Some say 45. But really, there's over 90 million of us in what they call North America. Well, in particular, what they refer to now as the United States Corporation. If we add those who are in Canada, then that number will go up another 30 million or so. So we're looking at in North America, if we add those in Mexico, which is part of North America, also, there would be another 10 million. So we got 90 million, 30 million, 10 million. So that really is, what, 90? 30, which is 120, another 10, 130, about 130 to 140 million of us in North America. Okay? So this lie that they're telling you about, that there's only 40 million of us, is just that. But this is no different than what they've told you. This is the Peters map. Notice the Peters map is a lot different than the Mercator's map. Peters map shows you the actual size. And as you see, Africa is very large. In fact, quite a bit of the countries can fit into this Africa. But this Africa actually is upside down, and I won't get into this information right here. But what they always show us here, which they refer to as right side up, actually is inverted. This is actually how it looks. So what we call in north, south, east, and west actually is the other way around. Various articles and books mentioned above testifies to the fact and proves beyond a shadow of a doubt that we are the oldest and most indigenous people on earth. And I'll keep showing you these sciences. The following information is from the said white supremacist races that would simply quote the revised history that 99.9% of so-called Black Americans descended from Central West Africa, which we did, but not the majority of us 400 years ago. Has been well documented, you know what I'm saying, as I will document. But this occurred in several impacts over a course of 600 million years. This is why I tell you to read Forbidden Archaeology and the Hidden History of the Human Race, because it tells us that there's been humans in the Americas over 600 million years. See, you don't want to believe this, but this is true. And see, when this here happened, this was 200 million years to 250 million years ago when this occurred, which is when Pangea was there. So we talking about if we was already in the Americas 400 million years before the continental drift. 600 million years, we was already in the Americas. And this is proven in those books. And see, this is why those who study academia or in the field of academia, such as professors and scholars with PhDs and so forth, so on, they won't go into this because this is outside of their thinking range, because their minds have been subscribed to a level of a 25,000 year period. All right, to a 50,000 year period. Even if you get Professor Imhotep's, David Imhotep's book, The Africans was the first in America, he stayed within a 50,000 year paradigm or perspective. But yet there's books out here in which that takes you all the way back to 600 million years in North America. Why wouldn't you go back to the furthest documented information? Why? Because they don't want to lose their tenure or their position at these colleges, right? Professor Dr. Clyde Winters. These are brothers that I greatly admire. However, I have to question the fact why they don't take this information back, you know, to these books. These are landmark intellectual achievements of the late 20th century that we all need in our libraries. I'm gonna show you why, right? But right here, at the same said white supremacist races could not dismiss the scholarly information presented here, nor can they explain the following data. Allegedly, let's get into it. 5 million to 20 million slaves arrived in the Americas between 1540 and 1850 over a 310-year period, according to United States history books. If you look at the following facts or published information, we are living under another idealistic, ideological, part of American revisionist history. Also, the following undermines the whole breadth and depth of what is written in American history books. By using simple calculations, the following information can be ascertained. Over a period of 300 years, it is fair to say that 60,000 slaves were transported annually to the Americas, or has the transportation of slaves to the Americas being one big myth. The largest seagoing vessel carried 400 slaves, but not all of the ships were that large. Time of passage were 3 to 4 months. That means 200 vessel ships per year would have to travel carrying 300 people. One ship could make 3 passages per year. The transatlantic slave trade database states that there are 1,100 to 1,400 voyages made over the 300-year period. If this is the case, and each ship carried 400 people, the total number would be basically 560,000 Africans were transported. It still doesn't add up. All right. According to the figures above, many more slaving, all right, and I hate to use the word slave because we actually were POWs, weren't slaves, right? At least a portion of our bloodline. And what they also did was take the so-called Moors and said Black Indians that was here and enslaved them. But many more slaving companies would have to be in business to human trafficking annually to come up with the number of slaves actually transported. But the published material listed only 3 major companies that dealt in the slave trade and was given a 31-year monopoly by the British government. The Royal Adventure later was named the Royal African Company, and this is where we get the word race from, is an acronym, so that it was one and the same company. Independent companies engaged in slave trade, but there was only 3 main companies engaging in human trafficking. You have the Guinea Company at its height, had 15 ships from 1618 to 1650. Right? You had the Guinea Company also dealt in gold, dye, and other things other than just human trafficking of slaves. British, French, Dutch, Danish participated in the human slave trade. Statistics has not taken into consideration the Portuguese ships that sailed at the time. But from this, from what is out there, the Portuguese and Spanish transported 81,000 slaves to the Americas. This is, you read Slave Statistics by Hugh Thomas, published in 1997 by Simmons and Sussler. All right, Sussler. It says the statistics states only 0.05% or half of 1% of all the indigenous people of North and South America are in existence as a result of Christopher Columbus and his European travelers' conquests. 95% was massacred by Columbus and his European crew shortly after 1492. And around 1900, it was thought that Native Americans were on the brink of extinction with only 250,000 left. Here's the most common sense question asked by Moors. What water distillation process did the Europeans possess? Because the cargo is precious and the need of survival is extremely high. It's a 3 to 4 month voyage or voyager with approximately 2 to 300 POWs aboard. You have to give fresh water weekly. Why? Because the average person can only go without water for a week and a half to 2 weeks. How did they survive? Remember, this is 3 to 4 month voyage. How much water, fresh water, was taken? Not knowing how many slaves or said Africans was going to be caught or captured. It is nothing more than revisionist history. If this is not true, then explain why said blacks were not allowed to read and write for over 100 years, from 1740 to 1863. In the so-called southern states, of course, there is an explanation. I suspect to rewrite our heritage into his story. In the 18th century, there was no schools in the southern states of America. All right. So right here, let's go to the Black Washita, Nation of Americans. Blacks also own miles of U.S. pre-Columbian lands. This is by Paul Barton. One of the saddest aspects of our enslavement in the Americas, particularly in North America, is the fact that all forms of education was denied us and still is today. Blacks were forced to remain ignorant and told they had no history or culture. Well, here's the problem. Most African Americans are still void of historical knowledge, particularly of their own ownership to lands right here in the US. Blacks own about, actually more, 1 million square miles of land in the Louisiana Territory and the southeastern Florida region, as well as California. In all of these areas of the United States, there are said Black African American nations before Columbus, who was targeted for enslavement due to the papal edicts. This is from the Pope, right? His papal bull or papal edicts that gave the Christian nations of Europe the go ahead to make slaves of all descendants of Ham found in the newly discovered lands. This fact cannot be denied. All right. So the essay on said Black civilizations of the Americas, published as a great book. Get the book Susu Economics: The History of Pan African Trade, Commerce, Money, and Wealth. It tells a reality of this. While many African ancestors was kidnapped in America, many were Africans who came from West Africa, had a number of kingdoms and empires in the southern parts of the United States, and who were captured, had their lands taken from them, and their persons sold into slavery. These Africans were direct so-called Black ancestors, and there had a continuing connection with West Africa, which included trade and commerce on the very eve of the invasion of the Europeans to the Americas. All right, this is one of the older impacts during the time of Christopher Columbus. This is in Sex and Race, Volume 1 by J. Rogers. Also, They Came Before Columbus by Ivan von Sertima, Dr. Ivan von Sertima. The Empress, Rodiasi Tierra Washington Turner, Gaston Albay wrote in her book, The Return of the Ancient Ones, that 85% of the so-called Blacks over here in America was already here before the slave trade. Only 15% of Blacks arrived 400 years from Africa. Right, it's 400 years ago from Africa. We all come from Africa, but there is a suppressed history of Blacks being a global people. Pangea proved that all of the continents were together. So migration to and from Africa into other places, all right, were simple at that time, as I showed you. And remember, they told you that everybody come from Africa. However, why is it that you are African American, you have Asian Americans, but the Europeans, who are the immigrants, right, the real immigrants, the last ones to know about the Americas, they're just Caucasian, or they label themselves as being American. They're not Europeans. They're not European Americans. But yet Blacks or African Americans and Asians or Orientals or Asian American. But they don't call themselves Americans. not with European in front of it like everybody else. They don't say that they're European American. They say they're American and they have European descent. See, this is the way in order to make themselves primary on your land. All right, this is what this is. So, but what we know is that from the United Nations definition of indigenous, those people, this is the definition, those people having historical continuity with pre-invasion and pre-colonial societies consider themselves distinct from the other sectors of societies now prevalent in those territories or parts of them. They form at present non-dominant sectors of society and are determined to preserve, develop, and transmit to future generations their ancestral territories and their ethnic identity as the basis of their continued existence as peoples in accordance with their own cultural patterns, social institutions, and legal systems. This is the United Nations. All right, go to Inter-American Declaration on the Rights of Indigenous People. All right, this is the draft approved by the IACHR at the 1278 session held on September 18th, 1995. This is section 1. This is what they define indigenous peoples. In this declaration, indigenous people are those who embody historical continuity with societies which existed prior to the conquest and settlement of their territories by Europeans. So Europeans are not indigenous and they're not American. They're Europeans. Alternative, it says, as well as those people brought involuntarily to the New World who freed themselves and reestablished the culture from which they have been torn. So, even those Africans that was brought here, which are the 15% in which that the emperor spoke about, are indigenous. Why? Because we was already on every landmass on the planet Earth before the Europeans was even on the planet, before the Asians were even on the planet, before the Native Americans was even on the planet. We were, we are, and will continue to be. Indigene, 1590s, 1660s, from French indigenes, from Latin indigena, sprung from the land. You are sprung from the land as a noun, a native. So literally, you know, they say indigenous is a native, literally inborn. You was inborn. So you didn't just come from Africa. You know what I'm saying? When we talking about Africa, there was no per se Africa at that time, unless like I showed you on the map, all of it was Africa, if that's what you're going to call it. What we called it was Pangea. All right. Nation Islam, Nation of Gods on Earth refers to it as Asia. The word Asia means body of land. So when all the lands were together, it was called Asia, which the Greek called it Pangea. So you was a Pangean, an Asian or Asiatic. Hell, all of us are Asian. You have Caucasian, Caucasus Asian. You have Oriental Asian, and you have so-called African Asiatics, or as we say, more Asiatics. Okay. All right. So you have AUTOCHTHONOUS, native, indigenous, 1845 from Achatan and S. All right. So let's look at that. All right. The United Nations on the rights of United Nations Declaration on the Rights of Indigenous People that was passed by 144 nations on September the 7th through 13, 2007 is having to be the same time as Tupac Amaru Shakur. He got shot on September the 7th and he died on September 13th. For these 6 days, the United Nations was in session to pass the United Declaration of Rights of Indigenous People, which was passed by 144 nations. Coincidence? I don't think so. But we're going to read some of these. Article 2, Indigenous peoples and individuals are free and equal to all other peoples and individuals and have the rights to be free from any kind of discrimination in the exercise of their rights, in particular that basis of their indigenous origin or identity. Article 4. Indigenous peoples in exercising their right to self-determination has the right from all kinds of discrimination and in exercising their right to autonomy or self-government in matters relating to their internal and local affairs, as well as ways and means for financing their autonomous functions. Right? That means that the corporation ain't supposed to be in your shit, but they are. Big brother is watching your ass. Article 6, every indigenous individual has the right to a nationality. This is what they're afraid of. They don't want you to have a nationality because that means that will instantaneously tie you back to land, this land. Article 9, indigenous people and individuals have the right to belong to an indigenous community or nation in accordance with the traditions and customs of the community or nation concerned. No discrimination of any kind may arise from the exercise of such a right. So you have the right to belong, to have a nationality and to belong to an indigenous community or nation. This is why we are United Washita, the mound builders, the ancient mound builders. Because we had a right to a nationality and to belong to an indigenous community or nation. So we have the right to belong to an indigenous nation. Our indigenous nation is Washita Didugdamanya. United Washita Didugdamanya. That's who we are. Article 13.1, indigenous people have the right to revitalize, use, develop, and transmit to future generations their histories, languages, oral traditions, philosophies, written systems, and literature, and to designate and retain their own names for communities, places, and persons. So you have the right also to your own name. So once you have a nationality, once you belong to an indigenous nation, you have the right to retain your own name for communities, places, and persons. States shall take effective measures to ensure that the rights is protected and also to ensure the indigenous people can understand and be understood in political, legal, and administrative proceedings where necessary through the provision of interpretation or by other appropriate means. Article 33.1, indigenous people have the right to determine their own identity. So see, this is why we reclamated a guy from Puerto Rico, and he was reclamating what we call the Latino or Latina population. And what happened was is that they, got him, allegedly for fraudulent ID and documents, paperwork. Well, guess what? When he went to court, right? And the Border Patrol was put up on the stand, and they asked the Border Patrol guy, was the documents authentic, genuine? He fidget in his seat. But he had to tell the truth. Otherwise, he would have purged himself, and he told them that they are authentic. So indigenous people have the right to determine their own identity or membership in accordance with their custom and traditions. The cracker don't have the ability to do that for you. You have to do that. See, that's the problem. You're still depending on somebody else to do it for you. Indigenous people have the right to determine their own identity. Do I gotta go to the court system in order to get my name changed? No. Indigenous people have the right to determine their own identity and membership in accordance with their customs and traditions. This does not impair the right of indigenous individuals to obtain citizenship of the states. So see, you can have state citizenship, be an American national, or what is known as a non-U.S. national, but you're not federalized. We left that to the so-called Native Americans, Indians, American Indians, whatever you want to, whatever they refer to their names as. Most of them is the $5 Indians nowadays. No disrespect, but it's just what it is. But then when we come along, like the Cherokee. Well, no, we don't, or Choctaw. We no, we don't want the darker skinned Cherokee part of the nation. Well, they don't have to be. They have the right to determine their own identity and membership in accordance with their own customs and traditions. Fuck you. And this is what all indigenous people have to start saying. This does not impair the right of indigenous individual to obtain citizenship of the states in which they live. Indigenous people have the right to determine the structure and to select the membership of their institutions in accordance with their own procedures. Do each group have to have the same procedure? No. Stop with that dumb shit. Don't call me about Taj's process. Don't call me about Shabu El's process. Don't call me about the Moorish Consul process. That's their process, their procedure. That's not United Washitals. Once again, indigenous people have the right to determine the structures and to select the membership of their institutions in accordance with their own procedures. Just like each state has different procedures. Go to the county recorder's office or the records of deeds of each state, and each one has a matter of fact, go to each county in the state. They will have different procedures. Some will take affidavits written in red. Some will not take affidavits written in red. Some would take affidavits written, typed up on 8x11s. Some would take it only in legal size. Each county of the states have their own procedures. Stop with this dumb shit that each so-called group, society. See, we're a nation though. We're not a group or society, organization in that regard. This is what they always refer to themselves as. We are a nation, right? A nation state. That's just what it is. All right? Mr. Chino, he got 5 on it. Oh man, Johnny boy come in with the joint tonight. And my son, no doubt. Appreciate that, appreciate that. Appreciate y'all. All right. Article 35, indigenous people have the right to determine the responsibility of individuals to their communities, meaning to their nations. Article 37, indigenous people have the right to the recognition, observance, and enforcement of treaties, agreements, and other constructive arrangements concluded with states and their successors, and to have states honor and respect their such treaties, agreements, and other constructive agreements. In other words, if you put your documents on the public record, the states are supposed to recognize them. Case closed. Because indigenous people have the right to the recognition, observance, and enforcement of the treaties, agreements, and other constructive arrangements concluded with states and their successors. In other words, every political season, no matter who is in there, they have to abide by, have to abide by your affidavits as if you just put them in there the day that they get there. And to have states honor and respect such treaties, agreements, and other constructive arrangements. Article 40, indigenous people have the right to access to and prompt decisions through just and fair procedures for the resolution of conflicts and dispute with states and other parties, as well as to the effect remedies for all infringements of their individuals and collective rights. Such a decision shall do consideration to the customs, traditions, rules, and legal systems of the indigenous people concerned and international human rights. See, then you have the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. Article 15, everyone has the right to a nationality. No one shall be arbitrarily deprived of a nationality nor denied the right to change his nationality. You have been deprived of your nationality. Negro, black, and colored is not a goddamn nationality. And since the United States is a United Nations Council member, then this is treaty law, the Declaration on the Rights of Indigenous People. And it's international. And it correlates to Article 6 of the Constitution, where it states that treaties are the supreme law of the land. It also supersedes the Dred Scott case decision. Case closed. Okay? Case closed on that. All right? If you wasn't indigenous, then why is it within the Executive Order 11490, October the 19th, 1969, of what is called the King Alfred Plan, and then it was revised again by the Rex 84 Plan in 1984 by Ronald Wilson Reagan, Mr. 666 himself, all right? In this preliminary memo, Department of Defense says this memo is being submitted in lieu of a full report from the Joint Chief of Staff. That report is now in preparation. There will be many cities where the minority will be able to put into the streets a superior number of people with a desperate and dangerous will. We will be, check this out, he will be a formidable enemy. For he is bound to the continent by heritage. He's bound to the continent. I thought we came from Africa, motherfuckers. How we bound to this continent by heritage? If we came from another place. And knows that political asylum will not be available to him in other countries. Why? Because we've been gone so goddamn long, it ain't no possible way for them to know which one we come from. If you're trying to go back to Africa, the greatest concentration of minorities is in the Deep South, the Eastern Seaboard, the Great Lakes region, and the West Coast. West Side! All right. So we got them surrounded. The Deep South, the Eastern Seaboard, the Great Lake region, and the West Coast. They in the middle of everything else. But we got them surrounded, god damn it. If it was the OK Corral, god damn, this be the So this is why this report had to come out. So now they have to deal with silent weapons for quiet wars. How they do that? Chemtrails in the sky. Oh, bioengineering. Fluoride in the water. Purification process. GMO food. Genetically altered organisms. So everything dealing with life, they're fucking up. What you eat, what you drink, and what you breathe. These are the silent weapons for quiet wars. This 5G shit that's out, causing diabetes in children. And cancer. The adults are getting this dosage too. Yeah, all the candy that you used to eat when you was a child, the Kit Kats, the Snicker bars, the Reese Pieces, the Mounds, Almond Joy, Hershey, Mr. Good Bar, All that shit is genetically modified nowadays. And so you're giving this shit to your children. They're coming down with diabetes because the frequencies is causing the GMO to become activated. Remember, it's GMO, it's genetically modified organisms. These organisms become activated based on a frequency, as I told you earlier.
And remember, you got 1G, 2G, 3G, 4G, 5G, 6G. So we want our computers to go quicker. We want our phones to move faster. But how is this vibration affecting the physical body?
And this is why we showed you the smoky quartz crystal wrapped in copper, because that will help protect you. This is why we also speak about argon or organite, all right, pieces, right? You need to get them from my wife, Brother Jerry Miller. You need to get these organites, Brother Azariah, right? These are the people who makes these organites, these argon energy crystals and pieces in order to protect you from the computer radiation, to keep these particular GMO foods from becoming activated in your system. See, that's what activates them. See, you didn't know that, but I got to tell you. This is why they're giving you GMO food, so that they can use these waves in order to activate this ease in your system. See, if you didn't have it, then you wouldn't get it. So they got to give it to you. A way of activation. All right, anyway, let's go to scientific. Oh, brother Johnny, boy, son. That's what I'm talking about. Thank you, brother Johnny. Much appreciation about that. All right, so we had the Scientific American magazine, scaling back obesity. All right, but here in the June 5th, 1852 issue of the Scientific American magazine, it contains a report about a blasting carried out at Meeting Hill Rock in Dorchester, Massachusetts. The blast disgorged tons of rock described by the United States Geological Survey as put in stone over 600 million years old. A bell-shaped metallic vessel was blown out of the rock that was 4 inches high with exquisite carving, indicating the presence of artistic metalworkers over 600 million years ago. Who the hell was smelting metals 600 years ago? Well, let's give some more examples. You have the Antelope Spring, Utah, print of the man wearing shoes in which that the left foot had tried on a troglodyte, a creature of 440 million years ago. St. Louis, Missouri, footprint in the Permian rock, 200 million years ago. Berea, Kentucky, footprint in Pennsylvania rock, 200 million years ago. Right? Pershing County, Nevada, a shoe print showing evidence of a well-cut and double-stitched leather sole in Triassic limestone, 160 to 195 million years ago. Glen Rose, Texas, footprint in Cretaceous rock, 70 million years ago. $28 million years ago, human skeleton in the British Museum is now in the basement, but it was found from the Caribbean island of Guadeloupe. Human skeleton, 28 million years ago. So from 600 million years ago down to 28 million years ago, I just showed you who was on planet Earth. You. And notice this was all in the Western Hemisphere. Utah, Missouri, Kentucky, Nevada, Texas, the Caribbean islands of Guadeloupe. Because it's in the book. Scientific American Magazine, 1852 article. It says it was a metallic vase or vessel that was blown out of put in stone, dating back over 600 million years ago. 600 million years ago, y'all. In 1887, Florentino Amiglino discovered apparently man-made heaths, primitive flintstone, carved bones, and a modern-looking human spinal bone in the Pleistocene stratus 3 to 5 million years old at Montana, Hermosa, Argentina. Well, not Montana, excuse me, Monte, Hermosa, Argentina. He also made similar finds in the Mesocene strata in Argentina to 5 to 25 million years ago. Now, if you don't know where Argentina is, I would have to tell you that that's in South America. See, all of this that I'm showing you is in the Americas. So I just took you from a 600 million year period down to a 5 million year period in 10 fucking minutes. Showing you that we was already here in the Western Hemisphere, dating back over 600 million years ago. Between 1894 to 1921, meteorologist or mineralogist archaeologist William Nevin discovered ancient cities in Mexico that dated to the beginning of the Pleistocene era, which is 2.5 million years ago. Some cities was built further into the Tertiary era beneath volcanic ashes. Nevin rediscovered over 2,600 stone tablets, as well as modern human skulls that show Negroid genetic markers. Nevin's Guerrero collection is now in the American Museum of Natural History and the Peabody. Now, the American Museum of Natural History and the Peabody Museum of Harvard University. So now he's showing you skulls dating right here in the Western Hemisphere 2.5 million years ago. I thought Lucy was the oldest skull. I just showed you 2.5 million years ago skulls showing Negroid genetic markers in Mexico. I just showed you 3 to 5 million year old to 5 to 25 million year old skulls and spinal bones in Argentina, right here in the Americas, South America. I showed you a 28 million year old human skeleton, which is now in the British Museum, but it was from the Caribbean island in Guadeloupe. So who was here in the Americas? He told you, Negroid. Who's the Negroid people? Aren't you the Negroid? Ain't that you? Huh? Ain't that you? Well, goddamn. You go and tell everybody. Go out and shout it out. You go and tell everybody, goddamn it. You was here. And you was all over the world. Through a United States Geological Survey excavated team led by Virginia Stein McIntyre in 1969, human habitation 89, human habitation was found existing in Mexico for at least 250,000 to 350,000 years based on human artifacts, stone tools tested at the Hualoco site near the city of Pueblo. Shortly after the dating of the site was made public, the head of the Mexican archaeological department of the Mexican government became very upset in the ancient dates and ordered the Mexican army to close the site and confiscate all artifacts. Stein McIntyre was told to change the dates and take the zero off, but she stood her ground and jeopardized her career. So it was 250,000 years to 350,000 years, and they wanted to make it 25,000 to 35,000 years instead, which still would have been damn good. So really, they probably wanted to take it off 2 more damn zeros, make it 2,500 to 3,500 years, more than likely knowing them. So it wasn't just a zero off. They Things your DNA company forgot to tell you. So since they forgot to tell you, why not? I might as well tell you. But they forget to tell you. As if I haven't already been doing that. Because it's all over the world. Nave further pointed out that the Aboriginals found in North America resemble what currently can be described as the African Americans. Case closed. An unresolved metaphorological position between moderate South Pacifics and Europeans. Researchers from Spain, Mexico, and Argentina wrote an article which acknowledged that the Paleo-Americans did not look like the moderate American Indians. The Paleo-Americans are classified phenotypically as African, Australians, or Malaysians based on a multivariate method and quantitative analysis. This grouping should only be sub-Saharan African and Australian population because of the Malaysian and the sub-Saharan Africans share the same cranial matrix measurements. The cranial matrix illustrates that Paleo-Americans, Paleo-Indians, belong to the Black variety. But they did not allow us to establish conclusively where the Paleo-Americans originated. Some researchers believe that the Paleo-Americans came from East Asia across the Bering Straits or from Europe because of the solar train tubes found throughout North America. These points of origination are unlikely because the ice shelf in the northern latitude would have prevented passage from these destinations to South America, where the oldest Paleo-American sites has been excavated. That's because when Pangea was together, we was already here. If we landed in Africa, we spread it throughout all land masses, which was not Africa at that time. It was called Pangea, because all the land masses was together. But it says most likely place the Paleo-Americans came from was Africa, which is closer to the Americas. According to the book Susu Economics, the History and the Pan-African Trade, Commerce, Money, and Wealth, These Blacks Found in the Americas by First Book Library, says the mound builders, Didakdamanya, Creole, the mound builders. We built the mounds, y'all. They were dark-skinned, woolly-haired blacks who were indigenous, native to North America and kin to the Olmecs of South America. The Olmecs and Washita Black Californians, Yamasee, and Californami, and other pre-Columbian blacks of the Americas were part of a prehistoric trade network that began in Africa and spread it through worldwide over 100,000 years ago and at various periods afterwards. You see, this is what we're talking about. Who lived in the Americas 50,000 years ago? You see how we took this timeline from 600 million years, now we to 50,000 years ago. All still without Europeans being on Albions being on the planet. Remember, they just got here over 6,000, a little bit over 6,000 years ago. So all of this is still before they were here. You was all over the world. As I already told you before. Who lived in the Americas 50,000 years ago? This is by Colonel James Churchward. Sculptured tablets recently discovered in Mexico, presently startling evidence of prehistoric civilization in the Americas continent, founded by colonializers from the lost motherland of Mu in the Pacific Oceans. Well, let's come down. Dr. Albert Goodyear, all right? He says, leaving South America, Dr. Albert Goodyear, a South Carolina University professor, say humans lived along the east bank of the Sahara River 50,000 years ago. The 51,700-year-old North American site founded in Allendale County, South Carolina, by the Savannah River is less than 30 miles from the Atlantic Ocean. Check this out. The evidence for the ancient African migration came in multiple forms: skulls and skeletons, footprints in lava, campsites, genetic M174 and D haploid groups, linguistics, paintings, carvings, architecture, Egyptian writing, artifacts, and structures. So the ancient Egyptians were here in the Americas more than 51,000 years ago. This data exposed the false premise that the first Americans came from Asia once and for all. If this hasn't proven anything to you, then you silly. If you think any scholar can combat me in this information, you silly. They can't. This is real scholarship here. And we just proved to you 600 million years you was already on planet Earth in the Western Hemisphere, down to the fact where they have to admit 50,000 years ago that it was you and that you were the Egyptians. African migration, they call it. But even before the ancient African migration, you was already here. You was here when all the landmass was together. And there was no Africa. There was no Asia. There was no Antarctica. There was no South America. There was no North America. It was all one landmass called Pangea. So you were the Pangenians. And then as the landmass began to start breaking apart, you was already on each of the land masses. Then you had brothers and sisters to come back and forth over many years, as I showed you, over the 600 million year period, to now they saying the ancient African migrations came in multiple forms. Of your brothers and sisters coming back, just like it says in the Suzar right here, that we had what right here, that there was a prehistoric trade network that began in Africa and spread it worldwide over 100,000 years ago at various periods. So you was trading, doing import and export with your brothers and sisters across the seas already before the Europeans was even on the planet. They're latecomers. They the Johnny come latelys. You was already here. European or Euro albino white archaeologists such as Josh Reeves, Ross Hamilton, Jim Verrera, etc. has already revealed that the first Americans were native, indigenous, black aboriginals who built ancient mounds, pyramids, advanced civilizations, stone rock sculptures, and indulged in high science of star observation, earth consciousness, nature-based living, cosmology, admiration, mathematical computations, time reverence, etc. So-called black people in the North Americas are natural descendants of these great spirit walking ancestors. You are what your ancient forefathers were. All right, that's it for me for tonight, y'all. And as we always say, continuing now for days, weeks, months, and years to come, we are moving towards our most cherished goals, or our goals of health, wealth, and knowledge of ourselves. Every action, enterprise, and endeavor in which we wish to be involved is bringing increasing rewards. We have so much abundance and happiness in our life that we don't know what to do, that we're able to help and share with those who are sincere along the way. We're moving closer towards the oneness of God and Goddess and the full release of our higher inner selves. I say, y'all, we out. Peace.